Sorry, it's a little warm in here. Um, what today's teaching is about is basically a portrait of Moses. Some of the things he did that weren't all that good, and what it wound up costing him. I'm going to start in Exodus chapter 2, and it's going to be uh, about a specific incident in his life that, like I said, wasn't all that good. There's a lot of good things Moses did. Everybody knows that. He led the Jews out of captivity in Egypt, and but there's some things he didn't do quite right either. He was human. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, again, Exodus chapter 2, verses 11 through 14. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, that's the Israelites, and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to them, him that did wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killedst the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. Well, this is where he headed for the hills, and he found him a wife out there. And that's probably a good thing. All right, now we're going to go over to Exodus, and this is chapter 17, and it starts in verse 1 basically, but I'm going to start reading in verse 5. And the Lord said unto Moses, go on before the people, and take with thee of the elders of Israel in thy rod, wherewith thou smotest the river, take in thine hand, and go. Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Oreb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. That was a good thing he did. He did what God told him to. He took the rod and he hit the rock, and water came out. Now over here in Numbers chapter 20, I lost my place. I've got too many bookmarks in here. Okay, here it is. Chapter 20, and we're going to start in verse 6. And Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they fell upon their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take the rod, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, hear now, you rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? That was his first mistake. He didn't have anything to do with it. He was just doing what God told him to when he hit the rock and water came out. And this time he told him to speak to the rock, and he didn't do it. He hit the rock once again. And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice. And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. In verse 12, And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, Because you believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, and therefore you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. That's what it's going to cost him. He's not going to get to go over into the promised land. Now, Deuteronomy chapter 34, and Moses went, starting at verse 1, And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo to the top of Pisgah that is over against Jericho, and the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan. And he showed him a bunch of things, the whole land that they were to take possession of. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he, that's God, buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor, but no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. Of course, people lived a lot longer back in those days. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. He was still a man. He was strong. He could see well, but he died. He died because he didn't do something that was told to him to do, which is speak to the rock. He didn't say hit the rock like he did the first time, but he did it anyway. See, Moses, as you could tell from when he killed the Egyptian and stuff, he had anger management issues. A lot of us still do today. But it wasn't good then, and it's not good now. But it cost him. He didn't get to go over into the promised land. He didn't get to lead the people into the promised land. So that was the end of Moses. Not so much. And he did get to go into the promised land, which I'm about to show you, but he didn't get to lead the people into the land. This is in Matthew chapter 17. And after, starting at verse 1 again, And after 6 days Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias, which we call Elijah today, talking with him. So he didn't get to lead the people in, but he got to go. It was a short time, but he got to go. And here's the thing, no matter what we do, as long as we're saved, we're going to get to go to the promised land, which to us is called heaven. And one day, heaven will turn to heaven on earth. That's after Jesus brings us back after the 1,000 years, for the 1,000-year reign. And the thing is, Moses didn't do right a couple of times. He did a lot of good, but he didn't always do good. But God saved him and let him go into the promised land. He was obviously in heaven a long time before the Mount of Transfiguration incident occurred, but he actually got to set foot in Israel. God is good, and he loves us all, and I love you all. Next time I'll if the Lord lets me, I'll talk to you about Aaron, Moses' brother, and what happened to him, but also about how he did some good things too, but he didn't do all good things. It's like none of us do. Anyway, I love y'all. We'll see you next time.